arrived finally in Glencoe. Yeah, that felt like a very long journey. It was dark by the time I got here, raining, so not that fun. And a slightly less glamorous room than my one in Lake Como, just to prove that not all destination weddings have you staying in glamorous places. But this is just middle of nowhere Glencoe. I'm staying in an inn. That's just the way it goes, and it's fine, to be honest. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just yeah, somewhere to sleep. Like, I felt like the same thing in Lake Como. I had this really nice room because that's all that was available, balcony overlooking the river, overlooking the lake, but actually I was barely in there, barely had any time to use it. So it's not like I was, you know, those things would be great if I was on holiday, so I'll have to go back there on holiday. Same thing here. I'm barely going to be here. It's already 6 o'clock. Need to eat something here. Need to get all my stuff ready for tomorrow. Fairly early start in the morning, so really I'm just going to be sleeping up. Tomorrow I'll be out all day with the couple. We're having like an early ceremony to make the most of the light, so I think we're out by like 11:30 for that. I think we're having a first look and then ceremony in the woods, and then we're going to go out and do some shooting, and it's going to be great. But yeah, then really I'll just be back here just to sleep again. Slightly worried by the fact they say there's big live music tonight, and you know, if you're around, the live music, which seems great, except really I just going to come back tomorrow. I'm still tired from Lake Como. I just want to sleep tomorrow night, just for my drive back to the airport on Sunday. So yeah, not particularly glamorous, but this is going to be a really nice one because it's for Isla. So yeah, it's definitely going to be cool tomorrow. But at the same time, I'm slightly looking forward to just being at home for more than a couple of days. So yeah, I'm now going to check on my stuff. I'm going to check my drone batteries. Someone made me paranoid about the drone batteries, saying they seem to just start leaking power immediately after you've charged them. So I might put them back on charge. I want to make sure if the weather's good tomorrow, I can definitely get the drone up. Then I am, because I'm some sort of crazy workaholic, I am going to do a little bit of editing, probably, maybe at dinner. I'm just trying to keep on top of my editing. I'm trying to get as much done as I can by Christmas. So if I made an excuse that every time I'm travelling that, I can't do any work because I'm travelling, whatever, I would be so behind by now. So I did a little bit on the plane. I'm going to do a little bit this evening before bed. It also, I just like to have gone through all the footage from my last wedding, so I know that it's all there and it's all fine. Until I've properly gone through it and scrubbed through all the footage and all the audio, you know, I'm always worried something's missing. So I'd like to get through that Lake Como footage and everything just to check everything's good, and then I can also start putting together a teaser for that one. I also need to send a couple of emails and send off a couple of films. Wi-Fi seems okay here, so that's the other thing I need to do. So yeah, no rest for now. But this is my last wedding or elopement of the year, so really it's then just editing up to Christmas, and obviously a bit beyond Christmas. These ones I'm doing in late November aren't going to be done by Christmas, but it hopefully means that there'll be maybe a month or so next year where I don't have to edit or film anything, and it would be nice just to have a little bit of, I need that mental break really. I don't know about other people, but if my year flows through and I'm editing all the way up until my first one of the next year, I just feel like I don't get over the sort of slight burnout from the end of the year. So I need that like reset time really, which I know sounds like a luxury compared to most people's jobs, but when you're doing this sort of creative sort of thing and you want to stay passionate about it, you really need that that break, and a little bit of a mental break where I just put my cameras away and I don't look at them for a while. Really just means when I do that first wedding, and my first wedding next year's, at the moment anyway, is in March, that just, yeah, means I'm just raring to go again. So the hope is all my editing will be done by sometime in January, and maybe February would just be like a month off from the wedding filming or editing, yeah, to get me ready for the next season. But anyway, before looking at the next season, let's finish this one. Final elopement tomorrow. Right, I have arrived at the venue, but it is absolutely pouring with rain. literally like 15 minutes since my last video, and it's now pouring. I think it's going to be that sort of day. So I'm probably not going to go and look at the ceremony spot right now. This could be a challenge. I do have like a waterproof little housing for my camera, but sound is the issue with this. I did bow some new sort of quite ugly sort of fluffy, whatever you call the dead kitten, I think, things that you put on the mics, on the lavs. But I mean, one, they don't look great. Also, they're more of a wind thing, but I think they'd probably protect the mic from the rain. But whether or not that helps the sound at all, I don't know. I've had it before where they're doing their vows under an umbrella, and all you're really hearing is the banging of the rain on the umbrella. So yeah, rain is just not your friend when it comes to shooting video. I did shoot a whole elopement in Iceland, but it pretty much rained the entire time and we just sort of embraced it. But it just happened not to rain when we were doing the vows, the little ceremony bit. That would have made that so hard. But it rained for most of the other day, which is fine, but sound is the killer. Like, the photographers often, you know, for them, obviously it's not great for anyone with the rain, but for a photographer, you can deal with it a lot better. And the cameras can be a lot more waterproof when you're a photographer. Partly the type of lenses you're using. The one downside of my my trusty 40mm Voigtlander, which I love, but I don't think technically it's weather sealed between the camera and the lens, so that makes it always a little bit more risky when it comes to rain. If you're using if you're using Sony at all, but if you're using the Sony lenses, then I think there's always a weather sealing there. Still, you get rain on the lens and that sort of thing, so it's still harder for us than a photographer, because, you know, one, they can wipe it down, click, whereas if we're shooting a real-time ceremony and you're wiping a lens, then how are you cutting that out? So yeah, anyway, that's me moaning about the weather, but hopefully this is only going to last for a little while. So instead, I'm going to go and see the bride, I think, and yeah, maybe head out here again in a minute, because I'm just going to get soaked right now. Okay, we have a little bit of sun, so I am going to throw the drone up. Yeah, it's just going to be one of those days where you have to, like, take your moments when you can. And the sun is actually really shining right now. I can see it might change again, so I'm going to get on with this now. Okay, I'm going to be using the same ND as I was using in Italy. Not quite as bright here. Let's find my NDs. Okay, drone done. Yeah, just got a really nice shot actually of the venue. The forest behind it, mountains. It's always mad when you throw the drone up and you just realise there's this stunning view around you that you can't really see from here. Lakes all around, everything. It looks great. And the sun stayed out, so that was perfect. I'm going to quickly grab a couple of shots of the venue on my camera. I never just want to have like drone footage of the venue, because sometimes, I don't know, like I might think in the teaser film I don't want to use the drone or something. There is a tendency for people to open their films with a lot of drone, and so sometimes I avoid it unless it sort of just really works
or it's an interesting angle or something like that with the drone. If it's literally just here's the venue from the air, I don't know, it just feels like trying to catch people's attention, maybe somewhere into the film, like a little way further in, but yeah, opening a film with a drone shot, unless it just can't be helped because it's so good, I just feel like it doesn't make your film stand out in any way. So I try and fight the temptation, but that might be hard this time because that looks really cool. But anyway, I'm going to grab my camera and get a few shots before that sun disappears.
Okay, it is 5 to 6. A little break now, back in my room, because the couple's actually having some drinks at this place, so I thought I'd come up and back up the footage from today. I also want to check the audio. I had a bit of a nightmare last wedding of the year, and one of my labs decided to fail. The memory cards failed. Never seen this error before, format error or something. And it was the one that was on the groom, and I often put a TX650 on as well, but I didn't this time because I had a mic actually on the bride, which I don't normally have, but Isla, because she's a videographer, she was sort of up for it and we figured it out. But I just want to listen to that footage now, listen to that audio now, because yeah, she's basically my only audio of the vows. So for what should be a very chilled out day, it was all just very relaxed. That was sort of annoying because the ceremony is still, you know, a thing that you're trying to make sure you get in real time. You don't want to be interrupting it. So I checked the groom's mic just before we started and it was all fine, so not sure what's happened there, but first time I've had that issue. So sound is always the thing, I think, for video that photographers don't get, the extra stress you've got there, like you're just not in control of it in those moments when it's just happening. There's nothing you can really do about it. So yeah, I want to check that and see whether there's a problem there or not, just because, you know, I already mentioned it to them. I always think it's good to be up front and you just say, maybe we're going to have to record that audio again, perhaps, you know, there's time tomorrow, maybe, before I go. It's not ideal because obviously I want to use the audio from the ceremony, but it's obviously better than nothing. So I want to give that a quick check before we head back to their hotel for they're going to sit down for a dinner there. I'm going to get some shots of that before they start eating, and we might do a little bit of a sort of first dance, just me and the couple, but put some music on, do a little bit of a first dance in their room. It's one of those things that seems slightly weird or staged or awkward in the moment, but actually when you get close up and you get some movement of the couple and stuff like that, it looks really nice, and it's just an extra little element for the film. So we've got some shots out with them in Glencoe. We've got the really nice ceremony they had in the woods, those shots, some nice stuff in the room. So it's nice just to have, yeah, a few of those sort of wedding elements that just gives the film a flow to it. If all you've got is a ceremony and a load of like couple shots, I feel like it's hard to tell a story out of that. So if you've got, you know, the prep in the morning, we did a bit of a first look sort of thing, and yeah, trying to keep those elements in like a wedding that keep it afloat. So something that's evening based, a little bit of sitting down for dinner, a little bit of a dance or something like that. Even though there's only the two of them and their two witnesses, you can still sort of just create a few moments like that in an elopement that help you then tell the story in the edit sort of thing. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to get on and check this audio out now before I have to go. Okay, just listen to audio. Seems good on the bride's mic somehow, which is a relief. Makes me realise with audio, you always just need backups. Had a wedding last year. We mic'd up the mic that they'd be speaking into, and we plugged into the desk. We mic'd up the groom. I had a little audio recorder hidden away nearby, and we mic'd up the celebrant. And I think, partly due to the rain and noise and a few other things, only one of those sources of sound was usable in the end. Something would have gone wrong with the groom's mic. It was really muffled. massive feedback in the desk, even though we'd sort of checked it. I don't know, they tweaked something. Massive feedback there. Yeah, I can't remember. I think the other mic was just getting rain on it. So yeah, I think we had the Celebrant. Her sound was the only sound. So it's obviously definitely worth having that. Today, I didn't do the TX650, partly because when it's a really intimate sort of elopement, you feel like you can come and check things and all that sort of thing. I'm normally paranoid about batteries and that. But I actually checked the groom's mic just before they started, and it was fine. Just before they started the whole ceremony. So maybe 15 minutes later, something had failed. Never seen that before. I just looked it up. Format error. Basically it means the file is gone. It's crazy. I'd seen that it recorded at 40 minutes at the point when I checked it, and there's now no file at all. It's like it doesn't exist. So that's not great. I never know if anyone's got any tips on what they think the best audio gear is. Really, these Tascam DR10s have been great, but I don't know. I always just feel like if there's a way of just having more and more redundancy, that's always useful. I think the answer is probably just having another mic on them as well, just in case. I had one on the Celebrant, but at the last minute the photographer asked the Celebrant to stay quite far back from the couple, so normally you can rely on that being there, but she was actually too far away for that to be usable. So suddenly I was just down to the mic that was on the bride, which, like I say, I don't normally do that, so lucky we did today. Yeah, anyway, I'm now just going to leave the footage backing up. I'm going to go on to some other cards for later. Just saves me having to do it all tonight before I go home. I always want to try and back up the footage if I can before I get in the car. We might do a little bit of a shoot in the morning. If so, I'll try and vlog a bit because I didn't do much of today. But the couple are still deciding, so it's up to them. Possibly take the drone out, I don't know. But otherwise, I'll probably get up in the morning and go out and get a few just nice like B-roll shots of Glencoe in general. Definitely need a bit more of that. Weather is supposed to be better tomorrow, which is sort of a shame, obviously, because it's not the wedding day, but does mean I could get out and get some nice stuff before I fly home. I always think it's worth it with with these weddings where you travel a bit for them, or elopements. Just the more of that stuff you can get is the better, really. You know, I know some people think, oh, I've done my day, I'm going home. But to be honest, if it just makes your life easier in the edit, if you've got a couple of hours before your flight and you could go out and grab a bunch of shots, I mean, why not? You know, I always just do it if I can. It just means when I sit down to edit their film, I've got more than enough. And they're sort of, my logic is always to try and exceed expectations, really. So I'm not necessarily promising this to couples. I'm not saying, oh, I'll be doing this the day before and this the day after. But I generally just do. So when they get the film, it's like, exceeded what they were expecting. And then not only obviously do I want them to feel like that, but it also makes it a little bit harder for people to cause like problems. If something had gone wrong on the wedding day or something was missed on the wedding day, you've obviously been seen to be making such an effort in general. It's hard for them to say like it was your fault or whatever. So I always just try and look like I'm going above and beyond. So anyway, I'm going to leave this footage on. I'm going to head back down. I'm going to go off and do the last little bit for the evening, and then home tomorrow. This is my final wedding or elopement of the year, so I'll just be editing for the next few months.
Morning again. It's now Sunday. It is 11:45, and the couple opted not to do any more shots today. So instead, I'm going to grab a last little bit of B-roll. Just because the weather wasn't so great yesterday, so there weren't many opportunities to just get some nice shots. Today it's still a little bit rainy, so I'm not going to get tons, but we've got some nice light here, not far from where I was staying, which is also not far from where the couple were staying, so it sort of makes sense that I get a few shots here. There's a nice river over there, some nice light, some nice mossy trees over there. So I'm going to grab a couple of shots, but that's all I really need. I had a chance to look through my footage last night, which is always beneficial because it stops me overshooting. I can tell I've pretty much got enough, but just a couple of little shots with the sun would be cool. Then I'm done. Then I'm going to take a sort of fairly slow drive back towards the airport, so I don't want to be in a rush, so I'm just going to take my time, stop a few times, get myself back to Edinburgh. Yeah, this was a really great spot actually for B-roll. Managed to get some river, some trees, some moss, and yeah, just a really great spot to get like 3 or 4 shots. Obviously a good shot because there's actually another photographer here getting some photos. It's just by the side of the road, but really nice. Back at Stansted, final wedding / elopement of the year done. Yeah, it feels nice to be done really with all the travel, to be honest. I've sort of had enough of airports now for the rest of the year, which is why it's nice I've got a break now until about March. I always like to have a bit of a break when I'll be raring to go again. But yeah, and I'll try and pick this up again when I get back on the road next year. Obviously I've got some other stuff I'm going to start doing on YouTube during the winter when I've got more time, but obviously the wedding travel vlogs are going to stop until next year, so see you then.